Hollywood in the 1960s was a golden age on the surface. Glittering premieres, perfect smiles, and movie stars who seemed untouchable. But behind the glowing marquees, the industry was drowning in secrets far darker than the public ever realized. It was an era where scandals were quietly erased, victims were silenced, and truth was treated like a threat. The studio system may have weakened by the 1960s, but its control over reputations, headlines, and careers remained frighteningly powerful. Today, we're uncovering 10 dark celebrity secrets from the 1960s. Stories Hollywood buried, twisted, or ignored for decades. These aren't the scandals they wanted fans to remember. These are the secrets they hoped nobody would ever mention again. 10. Karen Kupcinet, the unsolved murder Hollywood pretended never happened. In late 1963, aspiring actress Karen Kupcinet, daughter of well-known TV personality Irv Kupcinet, was found dead in her West Hollywood apartment. The scene was strange. There were signs of possible strangulation, unexplained bruises, and no clear cause of death. Investigators floated theories ranging from accidental overdose to homicide, but nothing ever matched the odd details at the scene. Within days, the media began spinning wild theories, claiming she was somehow tied to a mysterious phone call made minutes before JFK was assassinated. These rumors made national headlines, turning her death into a twisted sideshow. But as soon as the theories threatened to drag powerful names into the spotlight, the story disappeared. Hollywood played a silent role, too. No studio or executive pushed for answers. No colleague fought for justice. Karen's death became one of the many tragedies quietly erased because it was easier to bury a mystery than to confront what really happened. Her death ultimately exposed how Hollywood handled inconvenient scandals, by letting victims fade into history instead of protecting them. 9. Chuck Connors, TV's clean-cut hero with a turbulent off-screen life. To millions of viewers, Chuck Connors was the ideal American father figure in The Rifleman. Honorable, calm, and heroic. But off-screen, Connors' life was filled with emotional volatility, strained marriages, and behind-the-scenes outbursts that studios desperately tried to hide. Because Connors was the face of a family show, executives worked overtime to protect his image. Publicists buried tabloid stories, smoothed over explosive moments on set, and ensured his personal problems never reached viewers at home. The disconnect between Connors' TV persona and his real-life struggles revealed one of Hollywood's biggest open secrets. The industry no longer just sold stories on screen. They manufactured personalities, too. And in the 1960s, maintaining that fantasy mattered more than acknowledging a star's humanity. 8. Connie Stevens, the studio puppet who fought back. In the early 1960s, Connie Stevens was one of Warner Brothers' ID. Most bankable young stars, but behind the wholesome image was a woman trapped in studio contracts that dictated nearly every aspect of her life. Stevens was assigned PR relationships, forced into relentless shooting schedules, and pressured to maintain the obedient persona Hollywood expected. When she pushed back, requesting better pay, more creative control, or simply time to rest, the studio punished her with reduced roles and negative press leaks. Despite all this, Stevens gradually took control of her career, fighting against a system that insisted she remain a puppet. Her struggle highlighted a harsh truth about the so-called post-studio era. Even when studios claimed they no longer owned actors, they were still pulling the strings from behind the curtain. 7. Dana Andrews, Hollywood's quiet alcoholism crisis. Dana Andrews was once one of Hollywood's most respected leading men, known for classics like Laura and the best years of our lives. But by the 1960s, the pressures of fame, financial struggles, and fading roles contributed to a severe drinking problem. Instead of helping him, studios gradually pushed him aside, hoping the public would never learn the truth. Alcoholism was considered taboo, something that could ruin a star's reputation or a studio's marketability. So rather than offer support or treatment, Hollywood distanced itself from Andrews until he became nearly invisible. His fall from stardom symbolized the industry's deep unwillingness to address addiction during that era. 6. Patty Duke, a child star, controlled by abusive managers. Patty Duke became a household name with The Miracle Worker and her hit television show. But behind the fame, she lived under the control of her abusive managers and guardians, known as the Dukes. They dictated everything: what she ate, where she slept, who she saw, how she worked, and how she behaved in public. They emotionally manipulated her, withheld money she earned, and treated her as property rather than a young girl with extraordinary talent. Throughout the early 1960s, Duke's life looked glamorous from the outside, but she endured fear, instability, and exploitation. Her later revelations helped spark national conversations about child actors' rights and protection. 5. Gail Russell, the studio darling destroyed by fear. Gail Russell was one of Hollywood's most promising stars in the 1940s and early 50s, beloved for her performances in films like The Uninvited. But crippling anxiety made the industry unbearable for her. Studios pushed her into constant work, believing success would fix her fear. Instead, the pressure drove her toward alcohol, which became the only way she could bear the demands of fame. By the time the 1960s arrived, Russell's career was in ruins, her health failing, and her confidence shattered. In 1961, she died alone at age 36, her potential wasted and her struggles ignored. Hollywood moved on without pause. Her story exposed the brutal truth about the industry's treatment of mental health. Talent mattered only when it produced profit, and pain was an inconvenience that never made the headlines. 4. Judy Tyler, the starlet who died right after fame. Found her, Judy Tyler's future looked unstoppable after she starred opposite Elvis Presley in Jailhouse Rock. But before the film was even released, she died in a tragic 1957 car accident while traveling with her husband. Though her death occurred in the late 50s, its shockwaves shaped industry conversations well into the early 1960s. Studios quietly debated whether fast-paced, exhausting shooting schedules were putting young stars at risk. Actors who worked grueling hours, sometimes without proper rest, were more likely to collapse on set or face accidents on the road immediately after filming. Tyler's death became a cautionary tale within Hollywood, though one rarely discussed publicly. It revealed the hidden danger of the era's brutal production timelines and forced the industry to confront the consequences of prioritizing profit over safety. 3. Julie Numar, the Catwoman they tried to control. Julie Numar became a pop culture icon in the 1960s as Catwoman on Batman. But behind the scenes, Numar frequently clashed with producers who disliked her confidence, intelligence, and refusal to play the stereotypical Hollywood dumb beauty. When she negotiated for better working conditions or resisted being typecast, executives began circulating whispers that she was difficult, hoping to damage her reputation. Numar's treatment exposed a recurring pattern in Hollywood. When women exercised agency, studios weaponized the media to punish them. Despite the challenges, Numar maintained control over her image and career, proving that refusing to be silenced, even in a male-dominated system, was a form of power few actresses dared to claim in the 1960s. 2. Peter Lofford, Hollywood's man between the Kennedys and the Rat Pack. Peter Lofford lived in the most explosive intersection of politics, celebrity culture, and scandal. As a member of the Rat Pack and the husband of Patricia Kennedy, he became the link between Hollywood's wildest personalities and America's most powerful political family. That role came at a cost. Lofford's personal struggles with addiction, his involvement in the glamorous yet chaotic lifestyle of Frank Sinatra's circle, and the rumors surrounding Marilyn Monroe placed him squarely in the line of controversy. By the mid-60s, political pressure and personal demons destroyed his career. 1. Dorothy Kilgallan, the journalist who knew too much. Dorothy Kilgallan was one of the most respected journalists and TV personalities of her era, known for her fearless reporting and sharp commentary. But in the mid-1960s, she began investigating the JFK assassination, interviewing figures others couldn't reach, and collecting sensitive information that even government agencies watched closely. Her colleagues later said she claimed to have discovered shocking details that contradicted official reports. In 1965, she was found dead under mysterious circumstances. The official explanation was a mix of alcohol and sedatives, but friends insisted the scene looked staged and inconsistent with her habits. Her notes for a major investigative book also disappeared. Kilgallan's death marked a turning point. It demonstrated that in the 1960s, some stories were considered too dangerous to pursue. These 10 stories prove one thing. The 1960s weren't just glamorous. They were deeply controlled, deeply complicated, and deeply dark. For every classic film and iconic star, there were secrets hidden in the shadows, stories buried in studio vaults, and voices silenced before they could speak. Hollywood wanted you to remember the lights, but not the darkness behind them. If you want more forgotten scandals, mysteries, and untold celebrity stories, hit that like button, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the past still has secrets waiting to be uncovered.